Let's look at knee bars. And knee bars have a special place in my heart because the one time in my life I went viral was because I hit this knee bar in competition a long time ago. Sunshine's going to include it in here. But knee bars have fallen a little bit out of favor in modern submission grappling because we have heel hooks, and very, very often someone is going to be pretty good at defending knee bars and turning their hips and then ending up in more of a heel hook situation. So I can go for knee bars, but I'll typically expect to end up in a heel hook situation. Or sometimes I can go for a heel hook and I'll end up in a knee bar situation because they're pretty closely related. A knee bar is extremely strong. There have been only a few situations that I can think of where someone didn't tap to a knee bar, and what that typically does is it tears the PCL ligament in the back of the knee that is like one of the thickest, strongest ligaments in the human body. One example would be Tai Rotolo versus Paulo Miao in the 2019 ADCC, but make sure that you have a strong stomach. Paulo is like an absolute gangster who just refuses to tap to leg locks. So let's look at the finishing position first. And I guess on the way there, I'll show you my favorite entry, which is going to be from top. It's going to be very similar to the saddle entry. Typically, I'll do this if someone is playing the La Hiva guard from bottom without having a lot of control and without off-balancing me. So I'm going to have some difficulty going into a saddle because he's controlling my ankle. But if I push this knee down and I spin, sit on top of him, I can start going into a pretty strong knee bar position. So let's look at the finishing mechanics for the knee bar here. The first thing that is going to be extremely important is to have my my hips closer to his hips. This is exactly the same as with an arm bar. They both have the name of a limb and bar at the end. So just like with the arm bar, I'm going to want to have my hips very close to the end of his limb. In this case, it's going to be the hips. With the arm bar, it's just the shoulders. So the first thing I do is I make sure that I am very attached to his hips. The next thing is going to be to have the knee conquered. So I have it past my knee line. And then the last bit is going to be control over the ankle. Now, I exclusively finish knee bars with this configuration right here. So I have it nice and tight to my ear on bottom next to the mat. I have a rear naked choke grip around like so. And then the other hand is just kind of like in a supporting role here. If everything is this tight, it's done here. I just push my hips into it a little bit. Austin has already tapped a couple of times, so we're not gonna go further. I may need a little bit more push if my hips are closer away from his. So you can see there is some separation. Austin, try to put your foot on my butt here. Let me see if there's, yeah. See, this is not ideal. I should have actually probably had a little bit more space. So when he pushes on my butt here, I'm going to have my hips a little bit closer to his knee, and I can still finish this here, but if I'm like past the knee here like this, then it's going to be super difficult. And now he's cleared the knee line and he's out. So yeah, I want to maintain this connection super tight. So with my legs, what I'm doing as well is I'm having this leg right in the middle of his butt and the ankles are crossed like this. This is what's going to keep him super close. And then with this hand, I can actually control this foot because the most common defense, as we're going to see in a second, is to just put this foot on the butt and push away with it. So from here, I can finish this. Now that's how I typically finish it. What I really don't want is for my foot to be here on this side with this grip, because what he can do is turn his toes this way and start escaping, all right? Like I may turn this into a saddle position here and attack that, but he may just escape. So the other knee bar position that I've seen used with success will rely on the same mechanics, but with a grip on the heel here on the top side, keeping the elbows nice and closed here, and once again extending in. So these are the two reliable, acceptable versions of a knee bar finish. And let's look at an entry from bottom. This is one of my favorite ways to get into the legs. So when I play guard, I typically like to play some kind of half guard with a knee shield here. And what I'm always looking for is for him to either commit over the top of my body here, or I'll help him out a little bit so that I can get the space here to get my arm under the knee. From here, I can start pulling this knee towards my chest. The knee bar here is one of the quickest attacks that I can do. So I just remove the leg and I put it right under his armpit here, like this. So as I'm going for his heel here, I push with the leg, and now I'm trying to roll him over. We kind of got stuck here, so this is really awkward. But I can end up in this type of knee bar here. Let's look at this again. This time we'll just do it a little bit more live because it's really difficult to perform this properly without any resistance. So Austin is gonna be kind of resisting, playing along a little bit. So I pull this over, get the knee here, drop this over like so, finishing here or here. Let's do one more. Here, bring this out. I want to probably finish more in this kind of situation. One more thing to note, just like with the arm bar, if I put a knee bar under the armpit, it will make it stronger and nearly impossible to escape. Just the thing that I have to be careful about is in this transition, he's definitely going to try to turn his knee in, and then he might escape. But once it's under the armpit, it's a pretty done deal. Same thing here. Now it's not my arms pulling anymore and my hips pressing in. Now it's my entire torso being attached to it. So yeah, that is how I would attack knee bars. And earlier in my career, I went for a lot of knee bars. Nowadays, honestly, I kind of stick more to heel hooks.